So I went to a singles event, and when I got there, it was literally 90% women. And I was like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go now.
You know, I don't know what I find funnier as more and more women are making these videos. The fact that they're finally figuring out that men are done. They're walking away from dating. They're walking away from relationships in marriage. They don't want anything to do with women anymore. Or the fact that today's modern women can't seem to understand that they are the reason why men are walking away from dating, relationships, and marriage. Well, ladies, to quote someone from a long, long time ago, let me explain it to you, Lucy. And I'm doing so knowing full well it's a complete and utter waste of time because 99% of the women that watch this are going to fall into one of two camps. The ones that will not take any accountability or responsibility and will immediately jump in the comments to deny that this is the reality. Or the other ones who can't deal with the aforementioned reality and accountability that they do need to take, and therefore will shut themselves down rather than have to listen to it. But for that 1% that might actually listen, here's the reality for y'all. For years now, you've all run around saying you don't want men, you don't need men, you just want them to leave you alone. And if you didn't say it, you allowed other women to say it for you and never told them to stop. You allowed those women to speak for you and to tell men to go away, which is exactly what men are doing. Yet you're all sitting here shocked that men are actually doing what you asked because you've all convinced each other that men don't listen to you, when in fact, we do. We hear you loud and clear. And yet here you are wondering why there's no men at these dating events. I mean, really? Then of course there's the never-ending ridiculous demands, higher standards you've all come up with, where you expect men to be perfect, where you'll deride them for being less than 6 feet tall or making less than 6 figures, even though the overwhelming majority of men fall into one or both of those camps. And don't even get me started on these 6-pack abs and 6-inch you-know-what, which you all demand men have, but when men hold you to similar criteria, you scream it's not fair, it's body shaming. I'm sorry to tell you, ladies, but contrary to the belief you all have, we're not dumb. We see and hear what you're saying. We see it for the double standards and utter hypocrisy that it is, and we're not going to deal with it. But hey, you can keep chasing those perfect 10s, the less than 5% of guys that actually meet all those criteria, even though the reality is, for most of you, you don't stand a chance of getting one of those guys, because they could have any woman they want, and they're not going to settle for an average woman, which is what most of you are. Just like most men are average also. And just like you've rejected all those average men as not worthy enough, well, I hate to break it to you, they're now rejecting you because you're not worthy enough. The difference being that unlike women rejecting men for superficial things like not having 6-pack abs or being 6 foot tall or making 6-figure income, men are rejecting the average woman because they've become so toxic, so ridiculous with their demands, so utterly narcissistic that it's simply not worth engaging with them. Ladies, you need to look in the mirror and ask yourselves a serious question. Why? As in, why would you think men would want anything to do with you? Would want to be anywhere near you, let alone go on dates or be in relationships with you? Why would you think we'd want to put up with that toxic behavior? And before you all go screaming, it's not fair to label us all that way, remember the other thing that I haven't brought up yet, but I will now. The whole Me Too movement. The one where you scream to the high heavens, it's all men till it's no men. Or that every man should be assumed to be bad until he proves himself to be good. Well, ladies, guess what? The reverse is true too. It's all women till it's no women. And as for women proving themselves to be good, not bad, well, we'll get back to you when we actually find one like that. The reality of the world is today's women have made it completely unsafe for men to be anywhere near them. The risk of a false allegation of harassment or worse is simply too great. And while you all love to scream that they're rare, the reality is it happens by the millions every single year, and men know it. This is especially true at things like dating events, because it's every bit as likely for a man that you're going to turn around and claim he's harassing you, or that you'll mock him, humiliate him, even go so far as making videos about him because you find it amusing that he actually thought he might have a chance with you when he's not even in your league, which is hilarious since most of the women who do these things aren't in any man's league, which is why later on in life they end up making videos demeaning men and putting them down because they've ended up broke, bitter, and alone. And they want to encourage as many women to join them in their misery. So I hope you all truly are strong and independent because that's your future. It's why I've already invested in companies that make things like cat food and boxed wine, and why I'm already seeing a huge return on my investment. And it's only gonna get better. So you're gonna have to be strong and independent because you're not gonna have that partner in life who will support you. It wasn't men's idea, it was yours. Y'all made your bed, now you're gonna get to lie in it alone.